and this was all good. It was all gravy. And then we play, and then we play. Ooh.
Welcome, everyone. Today, I had the honor to receive National Master Jesse Cohen, who is a chess coach as well as a National Master, onto the stream to give me a little lesson and just his overall advice on, what it takes to progress in chess at particular levels. So a few topics that we covered in this video, and you are welcome to skip along to different chapters. They will be marked in the video, so pick what interests you. You can put aside what doesn't interest you. The first topic we talked about was basically goals. And to start with, focusing too much on rating and too much on just numbers, having skill related and measurable goals. Then we moved on to talk a little bit about masters, finding masters that have a similar style to you. Jesse talked about Karpov. I don't even know who I would relate to most. Jesse finds himself to be more of a positional player, and that's why he relates to Karpov. Next, we had the two biggest mistakes in chess. Next, we covered time management. That is one of my biggest weaknesses at the moment, in particular with my rapid games. We then moved on to forgetting and learning from your mistakes. And then we moved into analyzing a few of my own games. Jesse went over them, gave his thoughts. He had specific pieces of advice and then general takeaways. And then Jesse's just overall impression on my chess and his advice to me.
You definitely have the right stuff to become master, if you ask me. If you're willing to play that creative and push yourself.
The big key takeaways that we cover at the end of this is basically, number one, you need to like chess. Just like anything in life, if you want to get better at it, you need to like it enough to engage with it on a regular daily basis. Number two is having someone who is better than you to guide you, playing with masters, playing with others that are good and maybe even better than you to challenge you. And then number three was just you need to compete. You need to compete. Playing against casual chess players, just like playing against casual basketball players, is not the same thing as playing against a tournament chess player. And then he really gave emphasis on playing over the board tournaments, playing tournaments in person, which I completely agree with. And I'm honestly really happy to get back into over the board chess. I am actually moving back to France in 1 month's time, and I'll probably enroll in my local club that I was at.
My name is Maxime, also known as MVL, and I'm representing France.
Queen b6, I don't know.
And I'll probably enroll in my local club that I was at where I was playing lots of chess tournaments. So I'll put out some videos of that hopefully in the future. So anyways, let's get to the video. Hope you guys enjoy it. If you do, please think about leaving a like and subscribe. There will be more of this to come.
I'm National Master Jesse Cohen, head coach of Summer School of Chess, vice president of the Colorado State Chess Association. My life is chess. I like coaching, and I like trying to get as many kids and chess as we possibly can, especially here in Colorado. That's what I'm about. So,
yeah, I figured. Yeah, I mean, in general, I figured we could talk about like just your advice on increasing ELO and getting better, in particular because I'm stuck at like 1900, trying to hit 2000. That's part of the whole challenge. It's very popular right now on YouTube. You might have noticed. Would love to hear your overall, just general advice, and then in particular for that, for like 1900 on chess.com, mind you. We're not talking about over the board. It's been a little while since I played over the board.
Sure. So my advice is going to seem very counterintuitive in a way. And don't get me wrong, as I say this advice, I am very much guilty of not following it, which I followed it so poorly that I came up with it because it didn't work out well for me. I used to care very, very, very much about winning, and about my rating. And again, I mean, like, don't get me wrong, you have to want to win. You got to be thirsty for it. You got to play to win. You got to go for it. However, if the focus is all on the winning and on the rating, then what ends up happening is it takes you away from the chess game, really, and it compromises your decision making because suddenly you're going to be making different decisions based on the rating of your opponent, and what those rating points could mean for you. And, and then if you're maybe about to win and it's like
Yeah.
1989 or whatever, you're like, oh, this could be it. And then you start freaking out. And it's
Yeah.
just like, so for me, I never had goals to hit 2000. My goals were huge. My goals were be state champion. My goals were become a master, be the world champion, be grandmaster, like literally believing that I could be incredible, truly a gift to chess. And then like wanting it and going after it. And the two biggest ways that I did, I just had this idea that if I surrounded myself by master chess, like osmosis, I would kind of absorb it. And so I did this in two ways. Number one, pouring over master games, especially master games that I can relate to and by their openings and by their style. So, for example, for me, I play the Ruy Lopez pretty religiously as white and as black, and I tend to be more of a positional player. So I found Anatoly Karpov. Anatoly Karpov plays the Ruy Lopez for white and black. Anatoly Karpov is more strategical than he is hack and slash tactical kind of player. And so I study a lot of his games. So finding grandmasters, pouring over master games, especially, finding someone you can relate to. And then the other one is I tried to find every opportunity to play masters that I could. So I wasn't focused on my chess.com rating. That kind of came naturally with it. And don't get me wrong, I have played countless hours of Blitz. It is addicting. I love chess. Don't get me wrong. And I've tried to push for higher and higher ratings. So again, I've tried to do all these things that we're talking about here. But playing in live tournaments is always going to push you harder. And I would always play in the open section of things. I don't know if you have those. I don't think that they have those same options on chess.com where you can purposely play higher. I guess you could purposely do
Well,
custom seeks, so
I
you
have
only play
mine.
certain pages.
Yeah, I have mine. I think you can only go to like 200 points up, but you can set it. And what I have is I will not, it won't pair me with anyone that's more than 20 points, ELO points lower, but I can go up to 200 points higher. So almost all of my opponents at the moment are stronger players. But yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
about
no,
playing.
that is definitely good. Absolutely.
Mm,
So I mean, yeah, I mean, you're doing that stuff right. I mean, you're probably doing a lot of stuff right, but the focus on the number is what's going to get you because Magnus Carlsen says that nobody wins a chess game unless somebody makes a mistake. And the two biggest reasons why people make mistakes are time, energy.
mm,
It is my job as a chess player to do whatever I can within the rules of chess to make you burn time and energy faster than me and more than me. So if I can put you in a difficult situation, you're going to naturally be stressed out, probably about the situation, and you're going to be burning time trying to calculate through it. In a game, it could be your physical presence. If you're very confident in the physical game, I suppose, then that might cause stress on your opponent.
hmm
There's all sorts of stuff, I suppose. And so, I guess what I'm saying is, when you focus so much on the rating, you are naturally stressing yourself out, and that is depleting your energy resources, which is only going to increase the probability of you making bad moves.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we've all felt that. We have all felt that, especially when we're close to breaking through. So again, for me, and again, it's easier to say this, but if you got to focus on what you're trying to actually get out of the game on a non-rating level. Like,
hmm
I'll ask you, what are you working on? Like when you play a chess game, do you have goals for yourself outside of winning and making your rating higher?
Yeah. I think it's a really good question. And I really appreciate your take on the more psychological aspect to this because I've actually said that myself a lot on like emphasizing too much. It's like a very Zen mentality. If you're focused on the result, you're guaranteed to do worse in anything that you do. But I myself have, just by nature of this little challenge I made myself for YouTube to try to reach 2000 Elo, I mean, I had to find something that seemed interesting, but especially as like I gave myself a year as a goal to see if I could reach 2000 on chess.com. And that year is coming to an end. It's like 38 days left or something. And so there definitely has been more emphasis the closer I've gotten to 2000, as well as just as it gets closer and closer to that goal to try to, oh, I'm so close. And there's more focus on the rating. And I am 100. I mean, I'm constantly fascinated by why I go on, when you go on a winning streak, what happens when you're just unstoppable. And I basically just came down from a winning streak where I felt like 1900s, 2000s, I felt like I always started with better positions. I felt confident. And then, sometimes I would just get too low on time or whatever. Now, you know, dropping back down to like 18 something. Now I'm on a bit of a losing streak. And I notice that I just constantly feel less confident. I'm questioning my moves, wondering like, oh, maybe I'm blundering. Um, but my goals, to answer your question, outside of the challenge, definitely were um, really just to try to play the best chess that I can at my level until kind of overcome, my own limitations. Because for me, that's the biggest challenge with chess is that you you really, it seems you can play a lot and not really get better if you're not analyzing your own mistakes and trying to find out what you're doing wrong to improve. And for me, that's just been much more pronounced than any other sport or any other undertaking that I've had. Like if you don't really try to understand what mistakes you're making and repeating, I mean, you just don't really seem to get better. So, and I noticed that uh, the biggest peaks of my rating or when I go on winning streaks, oftentimes it'd be after like a lesson or some kind of shift in my mentality where all of a sudden I'm just playing way better. And but yeah, for me, I think that although yes, gaining rating would be nice, being considered like a more serious chess player, it's great. But I also just want to, play a solid game and be able to do that and think, okay, like I did the best that I could. It's not perfect, but I'm not, looking back. Like if I were to share my last game that I just played, I'd be like, let's not look at that. That I know exactly what I did wrong, and it's just silly. And I'd rather be at the point where I'm like, you know what, I did my best. I think it was pretty good. Now let's look at what I could still improve on. So,
So you mentioned a lot of good things. The thing that you have going for you on a general basis is a good effort and attitude, which if you don't have that, you that those are like the essential building blocks of, making progress. However, when you tell me that your goal is just to play the best that you can, I'll ask you a simple question. How do you measure that? How do you know if this game you played better or that you gave it more than this game or that game? How do you measure that? How do you know if you achieved it?
honestly, it's kind of a maybe a crude response, but mostly, not only, but mostly, uh, the accuracy and then specifically how many mistakes or blunders or inaccuracies the computer is picking up on. Um, that'd be the probably the first gauge of or measurement that I would
But
use.
how do you know? I mean, like that those are outside indicators. How do you, Mr. Wesley, know?
I would say
Because
that.
this is about this is about like exerting yourself, right?
Mm,
I think what I'm getting at is I think realistically it's I don't know how you would. If you were a track runner, then you could, hope maybe you could try to feel it and you could definitely see your time and stuff like that. So I guess there's that. But like
mm,
when I set goals for myself in chess and for my students, they are uh, much more quantifiable and they are usually achievable. So let me just give you for example. So if I know about myself that I need to improve in the area of space, I'm not very good when it comes, like, I just find that I don't take space very well in my games. I very rarely have a space advantage. I don't seem to use it well. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. Then I might give myself a very, very simple goal of like, okay, well, you know what? For the next 10, 20, whatever games I'm going to play, I'm going to really just forget my openings. I'm just going to grab as much space as I can. And I'm going to try to remember the strategies associated with space. So I'm very, very Silman based. And so it'd be like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get space. And he says I'm supposed to not trade pieces. So I got to push pawns. That's how I gain space. I have to look for ways to keep pushing them slowly but surely. I got to not trade pieces. I have to take away squares from my opponent's pieces so that I'm just kind of restricting them more and more and squeezing them like an anaconda. And then I'll just play like 10, 20 games, be like, okay. And then I'll kind of be like, how did the space gain go there? Was I successful at taking space? Was I successful in avoiding those trades? Like, how did that go? And try to evaluate that. But I can give myself kind of specific goals. I mean, for certain people, they, when if they're being really honest with themselves, their calculation is really lacking.
Mm-hmm.
And so we might give a calculation goal. Okay, like every single move, I'm going to make sure that I calculate 2 moves at a depth of 1.5, which would mean that I'm going to look at 2 candidate moves for myself. I could play this one. I could play this one. And before I make my move, I have to calculate my move, their response, my follow up.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second move, my move, their best response, my follow up. And then I have to quantifiably hold myself accountable for actually pushing my calculations.
Right.
There are all sorts of ways, and we all need to do these things. We all need to push our calculations. We all need to hold ourselves accountable for how are we doing in terms of searching for tactics? Because I mean, chess is really 2 parts: tactics, strategy. How are we doing in terms of searching for tactics? How are we doing in terms of searching for strategy and plans? And trying to find a quantifiable way to give ourselves this goal and try to, as best as we can, hold ourselves accountable. So, like, for example, with that whole calculation one, if that was really yours, I'd be like, okay, put a piece of paper next to you and a piece of pen, or a piece of pen, a piece of paper and a pen, and like write down 1 through 40. So
Mm-hmm.
that's probably how many moves your game is gonna do. And for every single time that you actually do, calculate that two moves, depth of 1.5. Put a check mark next to the number. And then at the end of it, how many check marks did you get out of the possible 40 or whatever? And then you can even start a spreadsheet to see, is that percentage going up?
Right.
Am I calculating more or am I actually calculating less? There are ways, if you really want to be specific, to give yourself, instead of rating oriented goals,
Mm-hmm.
give yourself skill oriented goals. What skill in chess are you working on and how are you holding yourself accountable? And
Mm-hmm.
if you can do that, you're going to see the rating will take care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other part is, again, what you mentioned. The other part is psychological. Not only have you, by setting, I mean, again, don't get me wrong. If this challenge is working for you two, do it. I mean, again, I mean, like, I think there's a reason Mr. Beat's like, no, like, if you were to offer him, like, let's just say $9,000 from me, like, no, it's got to be 10. Like, for some reason, it's got to be the magic. There are certain numbers that ring with people trying to get 2,000,
Right.
whatever. But if you're actually going to achieve it, you've got to find a way to take that pressure back off yourself and just be like playing chess like any other time. Otherwise, like you said, not only do you have to overcome this rating and am I going to get enough points for this and all this stuff, but oh God, there's 30 days left. And what if I don't perform? And
Right.
and just like you are making yourself burn through so much energy that your ability to play good chess just keeps going down.
Yeah.
And so you'd have to find a way as a creator as well to like, present this, but also still be totally chill about it. Even
Right.
and be okay if you fail at it.
Right.
Totally okay if you fail at it.
Well, I think
But
that
again,
people
just focusing on
do.
those. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, like I said, just focusing on those minor goals. Like I like if I for the channel, yeah, we're gonna break 2,000. But in your head, and even for your audience, you're like, the way we're gonna break 2,000 is that I'm working on these goals.
Right. Yeah. A couple things. I love that. First of all, that advice, it's really fresh, and I don't think I've really considered that. I have an Excel spreadsheet that I have used for mostly like for training. Like, okay, I do 3 puzzles, I do this. I kind of made my own little, training program. Um, and that has helped just because I think there's something to be said for really like I'll write the mistakes down, like the big mistakes that I made and try to like go over those the next day or something. Um, but I love the like very quantitative uh goals instead of just gaining elo or vague um goals or rating oriented goals. And then I think that for the videos, I think I could be wrong, people can let me know, but do really enjoy like when I put what I'm doing. I made one video just on what I was doing to train or whatever, and it definitely got more views at that time than any other video. So I think um the people actually do really like to see that, not just, oh, watch me grind to try to reach 2000 elo, but how exactly am I doing that? That's the other, it's a very very popular video, is like how to get to 2000, and then different people saying different things, giving different advice. um but yeah, I think that's very interesting and would probably help me, because at the moment, if I had to guess, what is blocking me is pressure, too much pressure. And I'm very focused on the things that are going wrong. Like my time management right now is awful. I am a pretty good blitz and bullet player, but for some reason when I play rapid, even a 10-minute, sometimes 15-minute, 10-second increment, I just want to take my time and I just don't manage the time well enough. So I always get into these time scrambles. Sometimes I play really well at the end there with time scrambles, but I'm consistently like down on the clock. Um, and I'm just very focused on, okay, I gotta play faster. I gotta do this. This is, and I sometimes that helps, but yeah, I gotta be honest. At the moment, it is something's not quite going right. And I know sometimes you like maybe you're in that period where you're absorbing a lot, and so you have that natural decline, and then sometimes you get like the spike afterwards. It's like, at least in my experience, that seems to happen sometimes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I love that. So
Two things I want to point out just really quick to answer your questions. And if you want to focus on the time, so when I am playing a game of chess, I don't look at the clock very much. I
mm,
glance at it. And that's because I'm used to different time controls. And so I kind of know the pacing. Now, the nice thing is that when you put in a bunch of blitz and bullet, the volume you're putting in is so much you kind of get that pacing. So you got that bullet like go, 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 you gotta
yeah.
go. And when you're bullet blitz, you're like, okay, gotta go, okay, gotta go, and you kind of get that pacing.
Yeah.
Like, what I would recommend is, and I haven't done the math on this, is like, for your average 40 move game, like what, or I don't know, like for a rapid game, 10-minute, 15-minute, or whatever, like about how much time should I be spending on average each move?
Hmm.
And if you really want to be like hardcore trainer, like be like almost like MMA or whatever, you'd have like a timer going off, like you'd know, like on average, you should be moving every 20 to 30 seconds. So at every single 20 seconds, it's like bam, bam, bam. And you're like, okay, got to make a move. And
Right.
then, every 20 seconds. And then as long as it's on your time, when it goes bam, 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 you're like, okay, I got to make a move. And you start getting used to that pacing.
Hmm.
Now, because that's really what it is. And the reason you get used to the pacing is that if I keep staring at the clock, I'm getting stressed out, I'm burning energy, I'm getting anxious, all that stuff. But if I just kind of like glance at it, I'm just like, okay, just rolling with it. I kind of know what my pacing is. All right.
Hmm.
And then again, as you get better at it, you'll be like, okay, critical moment. I'm going to take more on this one. But with the pacing I've been doing, I know that I can do that. Second thing is this. This is way back. You were talking about improving off of mistakes. There's a very, very
Right.
specific technique I'd like to share with you. This is not mine. This comes from Lev Albert. Oh yeah, so Lev Albert, I think he's like 2 or 3 time U.S. champion. He came from like the Soviet Union, and he brought a lot of chess training secrets. And he said that for their children grandmaster candidates and stuff like that, they would have them do the specific exercise. And basically, as you're going through your studies and looking at master games and looking at certain ever, or you're looking through your own game, it's like, man, I really missed the ball on that one. Like this was an important moment, and I just missed it. It is the nature of humans to forget. It is just the nature of us humans. And so he recommends this thing called the Grandmaster Compendium, where you literally make a diagram of the position that is instructional, that is crucial, that you don't want to forget for some reason, and you print it out. And then you cut it out and you put it somewhere that you're going to pass by several times a day, just naturally. Maybe, again, your computer screen, maybe your bathroom, something you're going to pass by at least a couple times a day. And every time you pass by it, you have to look at this, you have to look at the position and be like, that I remember this. This is what happened. This is why it's instructional, whatever. And then just go about your day. At the end of the week, you're supposed to take that diagram and put it in a binder. And if you're really on top of your game, you're supposed to sort them by category. Like try to come up with some category. Like, this was a good example of classic bishop sacrifice. This is a really good example of positional pawn sacrifice, or pass pawn, or domination of an open file, or rook and pawn ending, or whatever that you try to label it. And then like once a month you open up that binder and you have like a day of review where you're just like, that position, oh yeah, that position, and you just reflect on this. And he's like, it's because it is human nature to forget. And if we don't, and again, this is like the thing we all hate in school is review. Like, I got to review. There's a reason you gotta. It's just because it goes away. It's unfortunate. It's not our fault, but that is the key. Otherwise, like you said, you will keep making the same holes in your thinking will continue to remain holes in your thinking.
Right.
This is how we fill in those holes.
Right. Yeah, I wonder, there's probably a lot that goes into that. I know I studied psychology, and I had some of my teachers specialized in memory. So I know like a couple things. Of course, I forgot, funny enough, I forgot a lot of that information that I learned, but like the gist of it that sticks is that to actually get things into your long-term memory, which is possible, and it's just like, and that I've noticed that even with chess. Of course, you like certain pattern and pattern recognition. Some things, once they really stick, they're there. They stick. And but then you have all these other things like your openings. Especially for me, it's openings. I'm like trying to just drill sometimes and just go over my openings. And to be honest, I have not found a great way of doing it. But I know that the more I do it, like I just have to get it to the point where it's more automatic and more in long-term memory. Because if not, then, I'm going to forget it. And of course, I can't remember everything. But um, yeah, I like that idea, though. I certainly haven't put anything up. I used to do that for languages, like learning a language. Super good to do that kind of stuff. It's kind of a similar process, trying to make things
Yeah, my
stick.
buddy is like, and his wife are learning Spanish, and so they've started labeling like all the things around their house with little labels of Spanish.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's similar. It's definitely um, trying to remember a foreign word that you have no attachment to. It means nothing because it's completely foreign. Depending on the word, sometimes it sounds similar, but you have to find some way to get it in there.
Sure.
Yeah, I love that. Get in here.
And you're probably right, but I might see a little bit deeper into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like the patterns. I think that, okay, it's not, I added the
Yeah, I was
game.
saying if you're able to load, I mean, you can do as many as you want to, but the more games that you can let me kind of go through, the more I'm going to be able to spot some stuff for you. Because again, just like you're talking about pattern recognition, I'm looking for patterns of mistakes or patterns of
So I added a game. Yeah, this is it. And I will let you check it out.
So first thing that I find interesting, I guess, is that you seem like you're a London player, but you play C4, and C4 is totally playable if they're playing oddball openings. So like your opponent's not playing oddball opening, he's playing the King's Indian. So to play C4 is totally fine, but it's a bit different. Usually I would see, just standard London here, except for one thing. Because of this arrangement, oftentimes they will play for e5, and so if we put our bishop on the classic square like here, then what often can happen is something like knight b7, castles kingside, c6 here, queenie here, and then we're suddenly not paying attention. Suddenly we get whacked by e5. save our bishop get forked over here. So usually what ends up happening is people play bishop to e2. Seeing the c4 is a bit interesting. Knight
I might
b7,
be confusing it
castles.
with the Grunfeld. I had learned from another coach, but I honestly, I just thought I remembered it was c4 with d4 against certain, maybe not. Well, I don't know if Grunfeld's is it a King's Indian setup? But yeah, this
I think so.
line, you'll see what
No, well,
happens because
it's similar. The Grunfeld is d4
d5.
here, here, d5. Whereas so this is where the Grunfeld happens. Whereas if it was standard King's Indian, why is that running? Shouldn't be running. Whereas if it was standard King's Indian, it'd be bishop g7, e4, d6 kind of stuff.
Right. Okay.
Bishop e2. Okay, here, take. Interesting choice. Why are we taking?
So I've played this line, and I'd be interested because if it's totally wrong, but according to the computer, I just
No,
learned
it's
it that
not
it's
wrong. I'm just
takes
curious if you
takes
because
knight
there's two
takes.
ways.
So yeah, I go takes knight takes, queen takes. If they go that way, rook takes, then bishop takes. This guy did
Okay.
something else. So I had
Wow.
to figure out what to do there because I hadn't seen that. I rarely ever see that move or anything other than taking because sometimes I think they just don't see that you can force
This is
the.
probably all wrong. That's the first move that comes to my mind.
No, that's the best move.
Um, again, just pattern recognition. But again, so two things I'd be thinking here, I suppose. Tactics. The reason I noticed f7 is that it's tactically vulnerable. Things that are tactically vulnerable are pieces that are not protected, pieces that are only guarded just enough. So the fact that f7 is only guarded just enough and it's by the king, of course, I'm also noticing this. So again, these 2 points do stand out to me. And yeah, and then positionally speaking, you're up a pawn, but your opponent has more development, and so if you can just trade off and kind of squash their development stuff, it should be good. Again, I don't see all the lines here, but it did call out. This seems fine here, and then it's probably still good, but this is still fine too. I see nothing wrong with this. Okay. I guess it's just a matter of opinion, maybe. I mean, trading and just castling seems pretty solid. I mean, we can win that pawn whenever we want to. I'm just thinking to myself that, again, in terms of chess tactics imbalances, I don't see any tactics here yet. I mean, unless somehow this still works. And so I'm thinking about what's going on in the position. White's up a pawn. Black has better development, and so by us trading off and catching up in development very, very quickly, that just seems to be the most logical thing to do. And then we're just up a pawn, and black has nothing to crow about except, I guess, maybe a bishop pair. Taking on h5 here. Oh,
Yeah.
really passive, reactive, ouchy moves that we don't like to see. I like that despite all this, you still stay pretty focused on. So that now I wouldn't trade queens. Funny enough, now I'm definitely playing queen h4. You started all this like king side dark square. It's like okay, let's go back to imbalances. What do you have in this position that's good for you? You have dark square control around black's king, and in that sense, the king safety as well. If you trade off the queens, that does a major blow to the dark squares. Now, granted, like they might, I mean, they're not really going to take here because of rook g4. And if they do nothing, I might do this really slow idea or maybe something like that. I don't know, but I definitely don't want to give up on. I mean, I don't at this point. I want to keep that dark square control going.
Right.
Can we actually draw this? We want to think offhand it's a bishop opposite color, so it should be drawn, but we're really far away from those connected pass pawns.
Yeah.
Well, now they made it really easy because now we can blockade. Because once that's like there, the bishop just gets to b2 and can block these, and so that's going nowhere. I mean, this should all devolve into a draw. It really should. This should just be a draw. There's always a chance. Oh, well, they totally messed that up. So,
I got
okay.
lucky there at the end, that's for sure. I was not planning on having an
So,
endgame to begin with, but
so again, just it's little things. Number one, it'd be a question of openings. Did you actually play this correctly? I'm going to guess no. Rook e8 seems terribly wrong if you ask me. I'm not 100% sure about it all. But the bishop e2 to entice them to play that blunder, I guess, is pretty cool. So I do like that. Again, just the little tactic there, and but I mean the biggest moment again, like if we're gonna make a Grandmaster Compendium position, it's this.
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, this move I
definitely.
missed completely, and then I just tried to damage control as much as possible, trying to still get castle.
Now here's the thing: I didn't see Queen D3 as like I want to tell you right now. I didn't see Queen H5, Queen takes H5, Queen D3. Ooh, that's too much. Don't do that. I just saw that by playing Queen takes Queen and Castle Queenside, I am playing simple, clear-cut chess that clarifies the position and continues to wield my advantage. And with the belief that I probably can win that someday, I don't need to pick it off right now.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I mean, I don't know, just to make sure I'm not totally off my crazy horse. How are we doing for analysis here?
The analysis.
Knight b5, knight d5. I guess that's interesting. But queen takes d7, queen takes h5. I guess they're comparable. But like if you want to go just, I guess to see that. Wait, where is it now? Queen takes h5. I guess we really like how far down the road does this want to go? I'm just curious. No, wait. No. Where'd it go? That's not what we were doing. With the queen d3. Oh, it's saying if knight d5, that you had to play. It's like, yeah, so like if you're gonna do this, you have to play. You have to. I guess it works if you're willing to play super hyperactive.
Yeah, I saw that, and I mean, I would have felt easier if my king was castled.
Yeah, again, like I didn't even consider these lines because I'm just like, I sense the risk.
Right.
I sense the complication. And I just, again, if I see, I don't know, maybe that's part of my style as well. And again, that's why I like Karpov. When I see clear cut ways to just improve my position and leave my opponent little to do, I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's like, yeah.
I don't know if I think that you could maybe tell me afterwards, but I feel like I'm kind of a mix between tactical and positional. I've tried to work more on my positional uh, play, but I also, if I see like more, forcing lines, of course, and just simplifying when I know I'm up a pawn and I can just simplify, trade down to a winning end game or something, I'm going to choose that rather than a move like knight d5. I kind of see those as just like, okay, that's such a computer move. I would never think to, with my king out in the open, my queen kind of offside, to play that. But
I mean, I wouldn't say knight d5 is the most computer move in the world. I mean, they are threatening bishop takes c3, and knight d5 is hyperactive. And computers typically like to be hyperactive. They like to somehow find a way to play the most aggressive, forward, active move possible, and then find calculation that justifies it, which is not a bad way to go about things at all. So again, if it was me, again, this is where you have to mix, you have to like combine find the gold amongst the computer. Because if you just look at computer analysis here, you'd be like, well, obviously knight b5 and knight d5 just win, but it creates unnecessary complications. Whereas at least for me, if I played queen h5 and allowed the queen d3 stuff, I would make a grandmaster compendium position, be like, in this position, even though it totally is okay, I played queen takes h5, but I didn't have the fervor, I didn't have the energy needed afterwards, and the complicated tactical calculations down to make sure that it was all going to be okay. And maybe if it was a long game and you had time to think it all through, then so be it. But especially in like a rapid game, if I'm making a decision every 20 seconds, then I've got a complicated decision and a simple decision.
Right.
So I choose the simple decision.
Right.
Okay, next game.
It'd be cool to let me pull a game with black. For black, I basically at the moment exclusively play Scandinavian against e4 with the knight f6 line, and that's let's see here, pretty recent. I used to play the queen a5 line, and then just like my d5 is terrible. If I face anything d5, let's see, I need to be the black pieces. Okay, this should work. Yeah. All right, so I just added this game. I think you're the only one that can move to the game.
Oh.
I don't know. Yeah, looks like it.
Oh, terrible. People actually still play C4. What is this? This is so bad. Interesting move. Interesting move.
This is already out of theory very early on. I have tried to take a good amount of time to learn the theory for this because you can get a lot of traps and stuff, but this was just like a crazy game.
Might be a waste, maybe. I guess there's C5. Okay. Now we get. Oh, yeah. Oh. Ooh. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's cool.
I miscalculated though. I think I thought I had force mate.
Yeah, that's still really, really good, though. I mean, you don't even, at this point, yeah, I mean, like, you're just completely under. Okay. Did you feel like you played poorly?
No, not necessarily. I was just grabbing, one of the black games because I still think that there's.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that happens. So I have.
So.
So there's
Okay, so I mean, like, realistically speaking, you wiped the floor with him, and then we made a blunder in time pressure.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at right now. Hard to say why this is
Let's do something
happening.
really quickly here. Let's see where you're spending your time. You spent 1:22 on this. Is Queen A5 a totally interesting move? Yes. However, to spend 1:20, to spend 10% of your time, that much, if you're like supposed to be making moves like every 20 to 30 seconds, to spend that much time would indicate that it's more of a critical decision. So I don't know if I would say this is a critical moment, but we'll go with it. 36 seconds on this, that's fine. That's reasonable. Bishop D4. Pushing it, but it's fine. It's fine. Fine. Fine, 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 fine.
Yeah, and on my screen
Guess you're not. $40 seconds. Yeah. I mean, I guess one other thing I would say is this. If there's one thing I ever really just kind of glance at, it's my time relative to their time. And if it's not a critical move, like as Hikaru and even Carlson have said, that I'm going to misquote this stuff, unfortunately. It's basically like if in general, as a general concept, if you can take a reasonable amount of time to make a reasonable move or an excess amount of time to make a fine move, most cases it's going to be better to make the reasonable move in a reasonable amount of time. Because you make too many of those fine moves and you suddenly get in terrible time pressure. And then when a critical moment does come up, you don't succeed at it because you don't have the time and resources to do it. Here's a coaching technique if you want to do this on your own. It's hard to do it by yourself. It's easier with a coach, but this is the only time management drill I've ever found in my life. It's by international master Mark Deveretsky, and what he does is he gives a student a piece of paper with 4 puzzles on it. The puzzles should be challenging, appropriate to the student's level. the student sets a timer for 20 minutes. You solve a puzzle. When you think you've got it, you pause the clock. You check your answer. If your answer is wrong, depending on how wrong it is, you have to subtract up to 8 minutes off your clock. Because when you make bad moves, you're usually going to have to pay for it later with a bad position where you have to take more time anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so the goal, of course, is to get all puzzles done within the time allowed.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I would definitely recommend that because, again, like you're not spending a terrible amount of time. However, I mean, as you just kind of look, it's like it's 9 to 5:40. Okay, like quick move. Okay, Queen C7 is pretty obvious. So like somehow we took 22. Like it might not seem like much, but taking like if the average is 20 to 30 seconds, that means that you're gonna have moves where you take like 5 seconds. Playing like 20 seconds on this move, unless there's something complicated to see, probably little ways that we're burning stuff here. Yeah, so to me, this just seems like your pacing is just it's not terrible. Again, the moves are great. I'm like really like you're kicking his butt. Like it literally only comes down to time pressure. And again, I guess the last thing I would say is this is that if you have this position, you have 2 minutes. Okay? You start moving fast. You like not like crazy fast, but you gotta play fast, reasonable moves.
Mm-hmm.
In this position, the goal is to trade.
Yeah, I was trying to trade for my life to get just the queens off the board so I can worry less about, a huge blunder.
Yeah, I mean, just and then you got to trade the queens. And then even from here, like we should be able to play relatively quickly, I would think. And this was all good. It was all gravy. And then we play, and then we play. Yeah, I mean, again, realistically speaking, like, do you have any games where you struggled in terms of the chess that you remember? Because this game, again, realistically speaking, I have very little commentary to give about this game. I think that it's pretty cool. I actually have a lot of respect for your rook takes d6 idea. That was pretty cool and ambitious. Respect, yeah.
My worst games would probably be against d4 because my theory, I don't study the lines as much. But I do know.
Yeah.
Take a look. I had a few opponents I lost to. Some of them a little bit fishy, but let's see here. Yeah, so like, okay, I for sure struggled here because I'm terrible against the English, so maybe we could use that. I mean, I attribute a lot of this just simply to it being in English, and I don't feel confident against it. I know, like, I think generally what to do, kind of, but maybe I'm wrong, so let's plug that one in. Oh, what's happening here? I didn't get the EGN. All right. Does that switch the view for you? When
What?
I just flipped the board, but I don't know if that does that for you or not.
It doesn't flip it for me.
Okay.
In fact, I actually like to look at it from your opponent's point of view. This is another technique I use. Scientifically speaking, your brain will like. There's this famous scene in Dead Poets Society, famous Robin Williams movie. He has all the students stand on their desks, and he tells them that when you look at the world differently, you will think about the world differently. And literally from a scientific point of view, that when your eyes take in that information, they will interpret the information it'll process information differently depending on how you look at it. So very often during my live games, even on my online games, I will flip the board,
Right.
look at it from my opponent's perspective. Sometimes it's simple as, man, if I was them, I would not want to see this move happen. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Right. I do that too. I wish that was possible. I don't know. I mean, you could get up and walk around and like over the board, but
Oh, I do.
I guess there's
Like
nothing that
during
stops
my
you.
games in a live game, I mean, I find especially if it's a critical moment or if my opponent is taking an exceptionally long time to think, I might get up and move my body and I might come around the board and I might look at it from their point of view. In
Yeah.
fact, if you were playing me a game of chess in a tournament, it is almost a certainty that a couple times during that game I will look at it from your perspective.
Very interesting.
Left 4 and e5 are coming. Your bishops are nicely placed, though. But then again, so are theirs. Their center is nice as well. I don't know why they keep refraining from e5, but they gave you the d file. And now, I mean, it should probably just be a draw. I mean, the only thing going on here at all is Black's slightly better pawn structure.
Yeah,
Well,
no, that's right. I blundered here.
do you know why that was a blunder?
Yeah, I mean, after analyzing, it was I didn't at the time, and I think I took a while here, if I remember, because what did I play? So I played
Yeah,
pawn takes,
this would be a
and
grand.
then I
This
could
would
have
be a
just
grand
pushed the pawn.
position.
I think I literally, again, I believe I was getting low on time because my screen's all messed up. So I think my clock is at 2 minutes, right? My opponent has 1 minute, or no, I'm at 1 minute
Right now,
47
you
seconds.
have slightly more time than your opponent, actually.
Okay,
Well,
so
let me just ask you this: what should Black's plan here be?
um, my plan is that would be that I don't know about trading off the bishops, but he's got these two, separated pawns. I've got the majority here on the queen side, so just basically finding a way to push them and keep the king from stopping any of these going too far. Uh, Trading bishops if possible, as long as my pawns on the queen side, if I can create a pass pawn and push that thing. That was generally my thinking, I believe.
No, yeah, I mean, in this position, I'm way happy about Black's bishops compared to White's bishops. They are carving into White's king's position, which it's not a safety issue for him. However, they definitely have better scope, and they're preventing him from activating into the game.
Right.
I can see this bishop just sitting here on e3, all happy, just covering a bunch of stuff. You're very, very right that the only real differences here to fight for is White's unbroken kingside pawn majority, which they should try at a certain point to try and mobilize and make a pass pawn. And then you have a queenside pawn majority and some weak pawns here. And so in this position, you already have better bishops than them. I'd like you to keep it that way. You have to find a way to activate your king. You need to find a way to mobilize this faster than them mobilizing this. And if possible, to target these pawns. And
Right.
so if you know what you're supposed to be working towards and you can find moves that work towards them, like, okay, well, can I find any way to activate my king? Okay, can I find any way to target these pawns? Okay, can I find any way to mobilize these pawns? I'm quickly trying to ascertain what is it that I have that's good? How am I trying to make use of it? And what strategically is going on in this position that also informs me. So without anything else, it would just be target these pawns and push these pawns because these are
Right.
weak and I have more than you do. So I'm trying to make use of the good things I have. Because it's an endgame, I throw in the whole activate the king and you got to try to make a queen faster than they are making a queen.
Right.
And so c5 doesn't make any sense. Okay, well, sorry, I should be more clear. It does make some sense. You are mobilizing your pawns. However, it's a poorly timed idea just because of this bishop. Like, if I'm sitting in this position, I'm probably playing like bishop e3, and I'm finding a way to activate my king. I'm either coming in this way, maybe. I guess there's bishop h3 potentially, or I'm going to play potentially for here. I might draw this bishop back to here, just make sure that they don't have e6.
Yeah.
And then, I might be trying to find ways to tickle the pawns. I don't know. I'm definitely playing around with some of these ideas. I might even play g5 at a certain point, depending. Only because that would give my king some ways in.
Right.
Maybe, depending. But yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts. But c5, and then the reason this is such a blunder, a5 is really smart on their part. And you should definitely play bishop c7 here. Although you're just... Yeah, we just go down a pawn, unfortunately. a5 is a sweet move on their part because either you go down a pawn or you go into this position, which essentially is down a pawn. You can probably hold this position still, but no, that was a really good move on your opponent's part, that a5 move.
I didn't even see the winning move here apparently, and I guess I just got low on time. I don't know why, but is that I
Oh,
could just
A5.
push a5. Yeah, I thought there was en passant, so I like didn't calculate it, but black is, if I remember, winning after that, and I took a
I
while to
can't.
calculate that whole thing, but then I didn't see that I could just push a5. However,
Is this winning, really?
I think you could plug it in. I think that it was like plus
White's winning?
2, something like that.
Where did I mess up? Oh, it is A4. You have to find A4 as well. How crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Um, no, but that was really good on their part because now, I mean, again, now you're effectively down a pawn, so it's really, really smart on their part.
Mm.
Um, and then I just don't even know if you can hold this.
Here, I think I
Like,
already got the feeling I'm losing. The king's gonna get
I
in
mean,
somehow.
I don't know how he's gonna win. I'll tell you that. He's got to mobilize these pawns. Probably how he's gonna win, but um, I mean, in a way, we self-destructed just because we were so convinced that he was going to win that we didn't put up much stubborn defense. By doing this, we just let him cakewalk into our position, win these pawns, and make a queen.
Mm.
Okay. Okay. Here's kind of my thoughts on your chess. You're a good chess player. You're doing well. I have to be really, really picky to find some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about. I think that you are a bit more tactical than positional, a bit more. It doesn't mean you're not positional. It means just that, or maybe what I mean more is that you do kind of. I don't know if you naturally go for more complicated positions, but you definitely seem to, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm mostly concerned with what I'm not finding, I'm only, again, you're only showing me a select thing of games. I didn't see a clear instance necessarily, other than that really good game where you just lost at the end, where I know what your plan is. Where I'm like, oh, I can tell what his plan is. He's doing this and that, and that makes sense because of this and this.
Right.
Like, yeah, where like you like I get the feeling like we don't size up the position enough and just figure out, okay, what am I supposed to be doing, and then do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that especially in the lower time controls, we start to panic and we just kind of try to go from move to move, and we lose track of our bigger ideas. Um, Again, if it was me setting goals for you, then um, you need to increase the frequency that you are trying to make use of the positive factors in your position.
Mm-hmm.
like literally calling them out, like, this is what's positive about my position, what am I doing about it?
So this is one thing I have noticed when am at my most confident, and often I'm on some kind of winning streak, is because a lot of times I'm streaming, almost always actually, and I'll notice that I'll be pointing out sometimes what's good in my position, but also I'll be like, well, I'm better here, and that was a mistake, at least I think, by my opponent, and here's why: because look at their bishop is totally blocked in, look at my bishop, blah blah blah. And I've noticed that very often when I feel very confident and I'm winning a lot, uh that is kind of what's happening, is I'm pointing out like, well, actually, look, my position's pretty good, and I know I'm better, or I'm pretty sure, I'm at least going to tell myself that in my head, that I'm better, and here's why. And it goes much better. Oftentimes I win, and that is definitely not what's been happening somewhat recently. So yeah,
Then how about that's the goal? The goal is to, and again, maybe there's a way I'm sure that you could try to find a way to quantify it. Like in a game of whatever time control, you need to you need to kind of do a breakdown of what are the positive aspects of my position and what am I doing about those? Or what am I doing to make use of them?
mm-hmm.
And like give yourself, okay, like at first I'm going to make sure that I do that, I don't know, 3 times a game. Once in the opening, once in the middle game, once in the end game. If I make it there, we're just like, okay, what's going on? What do I got what do I have that is better for me? What is my advantage, my superior aspect? And then what am I doing about it?
Right.
And then if you get to 3, try to build it to 4. But again, I mean, like in reality, yeah, there's just kind of this general awareness of, here's what's going on in the position. Here's what I'm supposed to be doing according to the position, and then searching for tactics along the way. And then having that good psychology of just that calm, confident way of playing chess, and just kind of glancing at my time and pacing myself while I, build up those positive things, use those positive things, and look for that tactical opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really what it is.
Mm-hmm. Would you say, if I were to just focus on that, because sometimes you can get too encumbered if you're trying to focus on too many things in one chess game? Obviously, I think I need to work on time management, but do you think it would be reasonable to try to fix like very concrete quantitative goals of like, okay, here's what I'm going to do for time management, and here's what I'm going to do, for the almost like advantage capitalization, it sounds like?
It's definitely it's going to be a balancing act. Nobody knows Wesley better than you. When I personally do it, I focus on one thing I'm working on at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep focusing on it until I feel, or I have some documentation saying I am making progress here.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do feel like, no, I can have that buzzer going every 20 seconds, as well as, whatever, that I'm going to have something that keeps me on my pacing while making sure that I have at least 3 good moments a game where I break down the position, figure out what I'm supposed to be doing, and then obey what it tells me to do confidently.
Right.
So again, if you can juggle those things, but yes, you're absolutely right as I mean, someone who's working on me with my golf, I'm terrible at golf, but he's just like, I'm gonna make these adjustments. I'm gonna tell you these things that you need to do. Now, when you actually swing, forget everything I just said,
Right.
and just swing. So, yeah, I mean, if you're trying to juggle and think about too many things that you're working on or whatever, then, like I said, the 2 biggest reasons why people make mistakes: time, energy. If you're juggling all those things, then you are burning a ton of time and energy. And so you're going to be the one who makes that mistake and blunder first.
Right.
Awesome. But yeah, I do need to start wrapping up. Is there any like final things that you had?
Well, I think that was really what I wanted to at least get, was like some concrete goals for me. And I think this is also really useful for anyone who's watching. I think that that's it. I'm going to try to implement that stuff. And then, of course, we'll see you next week for a very different session. We can run the ideas that we had by you. Both of us had a kind of unique.
Sure. Like I said, if you want to play me, I'll do my best. I promise nothing. It might not be the performance of a lifetime, but I will certainly try.
No problem.
If I was you, if I was Wesley, I would be doing a few things here. I would be, again, if I could juggle it all, I would have a timer going off every like 20 seconds or 25 seconds for my rapid games, or something that is cueing me in to be like, okay, you should be making a move by now,
Right.
or something like that. So you can kind of work on that pacing. I would set a quantitative goal of, like I said, 3 times a game. Start off with that and try to find a way to hold yourself accountable. And if you find that you're doing that, then up it to 4 and, see if you can keep upping that. I would also, again, the last thing I'll say is this. If you want to make progress at anything, this isn't chess, this is anything, 70%, maybe 80% of our improvement comes simply from, do I like what I'm doing so much that I just want to engage in it on a daily basis? Okay, you got to be engaging on a daily basis. Training on a daily basis if you're being really specific. The other 20 to 30% is you got to have someone who's better than you that can guide you.
Right.
And the final part is you got to compete.
Right.
Kids that play basketball casually are not as good as kids who play basketball on a competitive team. Chess players who play casually with their friends are not as good as chess players who play in tournaments. If I was you, I would find the next big tournament in your area and I would sign up for the hardest division. Not only would that put you in a motivated spot to start really training, and I think it would be good material for your audience. But you would also be setting yourself up to play some really tough players and push yourself in that way. And again, that's gonna. I promise you, even if you play tournaments online, you'll never take it as serious as an in-person tournament game, and that seriousness will push you to that next level. So again, training, coaching, competition. You got to have those 3.
I wanted to just quickly comment, and then, of course, I'll let you go. But I wanted to say that earlier when you were talking about kind of osmosis, just trying to absorb by virtue of being, with or in proximity to very good players. And I kind of thought about, again, learning languages is very similar. Eventually, you can learn a lot speaking with someone who is not a native in that language. Eventually, if you want to become fluent and fix all your mistakes, you need to be practicing and speaking and being corrected from masters, right? And I have noticed that. I've really wanted to get back into over the board because, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but also a lot of these players in the 10-minute games, 15-minute too, they play so fast, and a lot of the times I'm losing because of time. But I do not get the impression that the emphasis is on whereas if I go and play in a tournament, and I already have, I'm getting absolutely crushed by some of these opponents. This was a year ago, last time I played like a classical tournament, and it is definitely challenging and inspiring when you're like, okay, I got completely, they just steamrolled me, and not because it was time, but because they just played a really good, solid game of chess. And I noticed that I did see an improvement in my online chess. I was less focused on the results and the rating. So yeah, I definitely agree there. That is
last piece of advice I'll give you: use Zen mode, use focus mode.
Focus mode.
Don't focus on on chess.com. Don't look at the ratings. Don't focus.
Can you do
on
that? Like, is that a setting?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean
on chess.com? There's focus mode. On lead chess, there's Zen mode. You can turn it so that you do not see your rating or the rating of your opponent. You simply see their username.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna look into that. I do it full screen sometimes
because all it does is take you away. Anything that takes you away from what is going on in this position in front of me. Where are there any tactics going on, and if not, how am I building the positive aspects of my position, and what am I doing with those things?
Right. Yeah, it's certainly, honestly, the fact that you always have your rating right there on the screen. You have that on on the sheet, I guess, if you're at a tournament, I think, but that's at the end, isn't it? But when you're constantly able to look at like your time, your opponent's time, your rating, your opponent's rating, especially if it's a
And it
stronger
happens in
opponent.
real tournaments too. People, it's happened to all of us. We go to our pairing and it's like, oh, thank God, I'm playing someone 200 points lower than me. It should be, I should have this. Or, oh my God, I'm playing the master. I'm so screwed.
Yeah.
And then you set yourself up.
Yeah.
You set yourself up.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. But no, lots of good stuff here today. And then we're on for next week, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome, sir. I do need to bounce and get some dinner, but it is such a pleasure to get to work with you and hang out. Again, you've got a lot of good stuff going on. That game that you showed me where you did that little checkmate at the end, that sacrifice on D6, again, that shows creativity. You definitely have the right stuff to become master, if you ask me. If you're willing to play that creative and push yourself, you have the right stuff. And that's a lot, or again, even if the content is let's break 2000, in your mind 2000 is simply one little step because you're aiming for 2400, you're aiming for 2500. That's really what you're going for.
Right. Very interesting. I might ask you about that next time, but I appreciate it.
You're doing good stuff. I'm proud of you, buddy. I hope you keep it up.
I appreciate it. Really.
All right,
thanks,
sir.
Jesse. Go
Until
get some
next
dinner.
time.
All right. Next time.
All right. Bye for now, buddy.